I'm going to do today is show you a quick little way that if you get tired of like carving pumpkins season after season for a jack-o'-lantern, here's a neat and nifty way you can make you one that is kind of a perpetual pumpkin. I'm going to do these because, you know, I have some folks that have different feelings one way or another about Halloween. So I tried to do some things that were a little more Christian related as far as decor. You can see this one says Psalm 56:3, which says, when I am afraid, I will trust in you, God. And so it's real simple. Basically, you got one of these little LED tea lights, and you cut a hole about that size in one of these foam pumpkins, craft pumpkins as they call them. Can be gotten at most of your local craft stores now. They come in a variety of colors, and so you do your tea light inside, and I'm gonna stencil something out here and then use my craft knife to gradually cut away the parts that I'm looking for. Okay, so anyway, without any further ado, let's kind of go through the process. Now that you've seen one that's complete, I'm going to try to do kind of a Celtic cross on this one. So first thing you want to do is kind of, you can look and you can see on these pumpkins there's kind of like a seam. And so you're going to want either this side or this side to be your front facing, because your seam, you don't really want it running down the middle of your thing. Now you can do fancier. I mean, you can probably like sand those down, make it like smoother if you want to go all that distance. But me, I'm just making something simple. First thing, I'm going to take my tea light and kind of use it as a stencil for the bottom to make the hole for where I will need to cut out for the light. So there'll be a space for it to come in. And if you want to, I mean, I haven't done that with the other one. I just left it real simple with an open hole there. But you can always put some tape or something over it to hold it so that you could pick up the pumpkin while it has its light in it, so that it doesn't just fall through the hole. But anyway, so I've got my circle drawn, and I'm just going to take my X-Acto knife, kind of push it through now, and it's kind of best to go at it just a little bit at a time, kind of in a sawing downward motion, and just gradually work your way around. It doesn't have to be perfect, and when you get to the seam, it's going to get kind of tough. And here's another good old Boy Scout tip, is don't pull the knife towards yourself. So turn the pumpkin and then continue where you left off. Because, you know, we want to carve the pumpkin, not carve people. Okay, so we go through, kind of finish. I've got about a quarter of the circle left. There we go. All right. Now, if you're careful, you can either end up with it going down into the pumpkin, or you can kind of gradually use your X-Acto knife to kind of wedge it up out of there to pry it up. I don't think I've got all of these cut so badly. If it falls in, you may have to go pumpkin chunk fishing, but I was able to get it out there. Just be careful as you get towards the end. You don't want it to come out. All right. So it fits. All right, we're good to go. Stage 2. So you decide on a side of the pumpkin. This one, I've got quite a lot of smaller ridges in here, and that can be troublesome to cut around. This looks like it's got more wider fat rib sections that are larger, so I may go with this side because it's easier to not have to go up and down those ridges. So I'm going to close up my knife for right now while I go back to the stenciling stage. And I got this Celtic stencil pattern. I think I kind of like this one in the center because I can extend one of these outer parts so that I have like actually a cross. And so I think that's what I'm going with on this one. And so get it down where you can kind of start to stencil it out. And then I'm just kind of rough out my stenciled plan here. And I will say, from past experience, this is probably not the easiest idea to go with a Celtic style cross, but I thought it would give it a little bit more of a Halloween sort of holiday flair. So that's what we're going to try and do. Alright, so now I've got that. And one other thing you'll want to be careful about, anything that you want to have a hole, if you want that hole to be filled in, you're gonna have to leave space for it. Okay, if you don't, it will just fall out. Okay, so with that, I have kind of roughed in a design. I want to maybe expand it a little bit, as much as I can, so that I'll have something for light to actually go through. Look at I'm just kind of drawing on either side of these stenciled lines to make them a little bit thicker than the original stencil, so that they will have a little bit more for the light to shine through when it's complete. Don't want to make it too thin at any one spot, because it'll become easy to break where it's supposed to be holding together. Okay, so there it is, the start of that. And let's just see how the carving for this is gonna go. So got that stenciled, and we'll just start Probably gonna be best to go from the center and work my way out. And normally I might go for, you know, just tracing all the way around, but in this particular case, and you see I already popped that one up out, so I've got the first little bit carved out there, and I'm just do the same thing for the other 4 places of intersection for, oh, and I've forgotten my terminology, where the basically the crossbar and the vertical bar of the cross would come together. There's some sort of name that involves the word like tibulum that would go there, but I have forgotten. So don't roast me in the comments for it. Hey, it's not a word I use every day, so. Okay, second little chunk out there, and you may want to use your craft knife, hobby knife, to kind of clean some of that up once you got it going. There we go. Okay, we got 3. Now I may not show some of this in progress because some might get the wrong impression of what it looks like in progress, but it's gonna, when the full design comes together, it will be not what folks would assume it is looking like at this starting stage. So I'm just going to continue carving my way through. Like I said, it's just gradual downward, sort of, kind of like sawing sort of strokes that you're taking just downward. Alright, where to next? Let's do these outer circles. From time to time, if you have this style of craft knife, you may want to twist and tighten it up, because I bought this inexpensive at one of our local dollar stores, and it is not the best, but it's sufficient for cutting this foam, in this case, that these pumpkins are made out of. But you just got to keep an eye on it every once in a while, so that it doesn't get loose on you. Because another thing is, a loose knife is a dangerous knife. Okay, you're not quite ready to come out. Ah, there we go. more piece of the circle. Okay, getting pretty good here. We're in the home stretch now. If you decide to do a design like this, be careful, because as you approach those outer rings, since we've done so much on the center, these outer edges will be really start to weaken up your core or your center to the pumpkin. So you're just gonna have to take your time and carefully remove the outer carving pieces as you go, because if you get in a hurry, you may like decimate and be doing corrective work on what you've done so far. So as you can see, it's starting to come together. All right. See, my center is starting to cave a little bit. So I may have to work from the outside in on these. Yeah, I don't know if it's going to take it. There it went. I let my knife get loose and it actually was able to pry the blade out, so I'm going to put that in. Pretty good. Let me just take this down at an angle. Yeah, I just had to pull up and out some of that I had stenciled on because the center was getting so weak I was going to punch it through if I kept on trying to cut there. But no problem. We improvise and adapt to what we have to work with. There we almost go. All right. One more of these troublesome pieces. Yeah, I'm gonna have to go from the outside in on this one too. If I really wanted to patiently take my time about it, I have a manual drill that I use for drilling out things like tabletop game gun barrels and things of that nature, and I could probably slowly and carefully drill out the rest of that hole and space, but this is honestly a quick one that we're getting done. I mean, here it is, October 30th for something that we're going to use on the 31st, so there you go. Just consider the time frame of how much time you have accordingly. Okay, it's looking pretty good. Last bit. And on some of these areas where it gets weaker, I didn't say this before, but if the going up and down sort of sawing technique is really starting to put a lot of pressure on the pumpkin, you can always go about it with the kind of scoring method where you just slowly make the same line repeatedly until it gets down deep enough that you can do it without causing a lot of stress to what remains. And that's what I'm trying to do here, because it just wouldn't handle a full-on attempting to carve this at this point. And you don't want to get this far into it and just ruin everything that you've been doing. Been there, done that, got the t-shirt. Probably made a few t-shirts that way too. Well, my wife makes the t-shirts, but anyway. Okay. Yep, that's about all I'm going to be able to do with that, because it's starting to collapse that area where I've done all this carving. So we're going to leave it there. Home stretch. I have a choice. I can either try to reattach that or leave it as is. I think I'm going to leave it as is. It took out the bottom little section, but I think I kind of like that. Maybe I'll make it look intentional. So yeah, the last little part, I had a section that was a little too weak, so it broke off. If I really wanted to be belligerent about it, I could probably go in with some glue and redo it. I don't, so we're going to leave it at that, and you can see. And it provides a good place for the light to shine through on that. In fact, let me lower my actual lights so that you can see it better. Grab my other one real quick. So there you go. I have a nice little cross now to accompany and go along with, and I don't have my other light, but my Psalms 56:3, that is, when I am afraid, I will trust in God. And then we got a nice little cross, great for our upcoming trunk or treat with our church tomorrow night. So anyway, nice little craft. I will be getting a little more regular about content, but I just had to get this one done, and I'm sorry that I took so long getting back to making some videos, but thanks for being with us.